Louder.
Great. Oh, so yeah, welcome everyone to Following Your Yes. Sheila, did you want to open since it's kind of follows on from the.
Well, yeah, I mean, as I said, I don't think anybody needs an introduction to either of you because they're here because it is
Yeah.
you, because they know you. So, I mean, just to say this is following your yes. Oh, I know what I can share. I was very inspired. Um, you know, something I love about Dominic and Grace is they absolutely walk their talk. So when we were talking about the retreat and people sitting on the fence and that sort of thing. They said, we're going to mastermind, and off they go. And we don't. What shall we do? No, no strategies, no tools and techniques here, folks. They off they go. They mastermind, and they followed the feeling. And maybe they'll talk about that. I don't know, but they did share with me that they found themselves perhaps getting up in their head a little bit at the beginning, and then realised and took a step back and said, "What do we know? What do we know?" And this is how this call came into being. Oh, well, what if we just did a smaller type meeting and really for people who are, perhaps on the fence, and we really want to help people who have that yes and then the immediate but that comes after it. And so they very
Mhm.
excitedly shared with me, this is what we want to do, Sheila. Can you do this day? Can we do it? And it was like, yeah, that sounds amazing to me. So I'm all in on this, being a participant in this call, and very curious to see where it goes. So I shall hand
Thank you.
over.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this when Grace and I were looking at this, we see it as a thing in life is such a common thing is we can come across things, opportunities, whatever, and you can feel the yes in it. It's just beautiful. And then it's almost like there has to be, always is a yes, but can feel a yes, but there are things to consider. Yes, but there is the money to think about. Yes, but. So on everything, and I think about, uh, well, you would know on every important decision you've ever made, every unimportant decision you've ever made, it follows. And so we thought that's a great thing to explore because, as we looked at that, so much of what's unfolded in life that is desired and good and expands things has come from the um, allowing a yes to unfold. And Grace and I really talked about it, and it's like typically people think about and want to distinguish this is like that. Often we'll think about it's like, oh, so I have to commit to my yes. You can already hear the effort in that. That's not what we're talking about. Right? I have to commit to my yes. I've got to like get behind my yes and like make it happen. That's not what we're talking about. And so we're really looking at it's a different possibility. It's about allowing that yes to manifest into something. So that's, what our conversation is about. It is really looking at that. Obviously, it applies to anything and everything in our lives, but it came up. The idea came up because around the retreat, we knew that there were many people who were looking at our Living Miraculously retreat. They knew it was a yes, but all of that. So that's kind of just to put it as that's what you all have in common, but that's not what we're here to talk about. But that is what you all have in common is that knowing of or feeling the impulse of a yes to something, and then also feeling that there's things in the way of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really amazing, Dominic, that when we did look in this direction, we, as Sheila said, we got together and masterminded, and we were just alive as well with, the examples in our own life where we've heard the yes, but we've also heard the but. And we just felt really strongly about, well, following that yes and staying with the feeling of the yes. And all of you would have examples in your own life too, of course, that you do have examples already where you have really felt the yes and you followed it despite all the insecure thinking or all the worried thinking that may come in to talk you out of it. One of the things that I really appreciated, when I used to have some coaching with Elsie Spittle, Elsie said that most people have a habit of arguing with their wisdom. And so, her kind of coaching style was kind of to help move her clients away from the but because we're also ingrained to kind of like hear the voice of guidance, and then that other voice can be just so loud. So we just want to share today some examples of what's happened for us and how it's worked for us. And I don't think we're unique in this, but I hope that our examples speak to you and might give you a sense of possibility and hopefulness that you can trust your yes and you can trust your feeling when you have a feeling towards a direction. Because we humans can complicate the feeling and think we have to get all into the how to and
Mm.
all the details. One of the examples we'd love to share is Dominic's example of his house. So I'd love for you to speak to that, Dominic, because that's just
Yeah.
such a personal, recent example.
It was a recent example. It was very big and kind of very confronting in terms of that because yeah, so w when I saw the house, it was obviously a yes. The feeling was so strong, so harmonious. Um and the butts were huge, huge butts. Money was a huge one. But what I realized, and this maybe it's also relevant for you. And by the way, we're going to share a little bit, but we want to have your questions and your sharing of your examples too, so we can explore. So I was journaling about this today, but what I realized is that I wonder um, that source, your soul, moves you through toward yeses, which are really the easiest path toward all you desire, not toward that thing. So, oh yeah, yes, because that thing is my true desire. And what I started to see, because I was thinking about the house, but I was also thinking about super coach. When I did super coach, I was thinking about my original coaching certification. These were all kind of, they were big money, huge time things. And so for sure, yes, on all of them, could feel it like yes, and the but was enormous at the same time, right? Um, And what I realized, and as I w was journaling today, what I saw is it's it's like your you have several subjects wrapped up as the conditions and the buts to which this one desire is actually um, potentially may resolve. It's an invitation to resolve or let go of on many subjects. And this is how intelligent this wisdom is, or this source is. So it kind of wraps the whole thing up into a yes. very appealing, right? That yes has a strong appeal. But I take this house. Well, this house has money wrapped up around it. It's got relationship, all kinds of things between my wife and I, between family, like in other words, where do we live relative to family? Between all, there's so many subjects that actually hit on this one topic. And so when you come to the yes, the stopping of it is every subject that could be lifted shows up. It's like, no, but I'm doing fine. Financial is fine. This is not anything for me to worry about. Oh, yeah? Take a look at this house. It's kind of like, oh, well, let's not go too far. What about that? And then, all kinds of things. Like I remember in Super Coach, the big one with that was so the money was huge. That was like the most money I'd spent. I'd have to travel. We were in LA, New York, London, and back to LA, like to do this program over the course of how many months, right? And so not only was the course expensive, but the money to travel, plus you need accommodate, like there was all this stuff. So that one showed up, and I'm like, I know it's for me. Like I could feel like what the value would be, but honestly, you have to be practical. There really are true issues, right, that are in the way. And so today, what I saw was that it's like your source takes every kind of inharmonious subject or multiples of them and wraps it around the one yes, which now pops up all these buts, which are an opportunity. So for that one, I mean, money, that was obvious. The time to invest in that would, whatever. Uh, the time there was all sorts of like even an arrogance of I don't need that. I have like two or three coaching certifications. Last thing I need is another one. Right. Like so, and I know this stuff anyway, right? So that kind of thing was also popped up in there. And the other part also with relationship was how would I explain this to Keitsa, my wife? I mean, like, I'm gonna spend that kind of money? Like, how am I supposed to explain this to her? Would she support it? Like, which is kind of interesting. Like, so is that what I need? Do I need the support of others? Do I need others' agreement? Is that what it is in order to go? Like it's incredible. The house had the same thing, and it's like, there's others and the relationship pieces. And well, if we don't get this, we could go somewhere else, but somewhere else is further. And how important is family to you? And if you have this one, you're closer to family. Like there's all kinds of stuff, right, around it. So what I saw was it it's like source gives you a yes, and you think it's about that thing, and it's not about that thing. It's just not about that thing. It is about other things. It is about other wacky vibrations that when you feel the yes to this, that you will actually lift and leave in a better vibration subjects all over your life that have been kind of dragging you down. I'll pause there, but yeah, there's yeah,
So
more.
good though. So so clarifying, Dominic. Like I hadn't looked at it from that sense of, we think it's about one thing, but actually there's so much more wrapped up in it. Um, and I don't know, I kind of don't want you to leave it there. I kind of want to
Ah,
like I
okay.
kind of want you to move like
Yes,
so you
absolutely.
have how do you like it
Well,
how in from
yeah,
your perspective explaining
this
to your
was, yeah.
wife,
So the
etc.
most vivid, clear for me, because I learned in the other ones, but this house one was like recent and big and really confronting. And So I think what it is it got that big because of the fact that I hadn't quite seen this part, right? Because I think in the others that they were kind of like close enough to be achievable. Yeah.
Mhm.
So super coach is expensive and so are the, travel and all that stuff. But it's not like ridiculous. It is achievable. If you really say yes and go for it, you could do it, right? So there were many others, but they were kind of close. So there was an aspect that I think I still saw that just say yes and do it. Just say yes and go for it. Just say, in other words, there was still effort. Just say yes and commit. There was still like an effort. Just say yes and figure it out, right? But when it came to the house, it was not possible. No, you can't say yes and you'll figure it out. You can't figure this out. You won't figure this out. You you can't say yes and go for it. The leap is too big, right? There is no yes and go for it. So, what was really cool was that um it left me with I guess a couple of things. Is it so one thing it left me with was actually kind of questioning everything. This questioning everything had to do with the how can it be that the yes is so clear, yet it is such a mistake, right? Like, how can you walk onto that property, that home, and know, like vibrationally know that that's a match and that be wrong and a mistake? Like, so that sort of questioned everything. Like, it was sort of like it's not supposed to work that way. That's not the way my understanding of laws of the universe. It's not supposed to work like that. And so literally, I'm like, how could the universe screw it up that badly to match you to something which is obviously not a match because it is not a match in this way, it is not a match in that way, it is not a match. And in a little while of that, I started to realize that may, maybe the universe didn't screw it up. Maybe your thinking is really screwed up. So maybe that's what it is. And so, well, that wasn't helpful either because I'm like, well, maybe my thinking is screwed up, but I don't see how I'm gonna think this through anyway, which was really the point of it, which is, of course, you're not gonna think it through because you can't think it through. So then it occurred to me, like this only thing that occurred to me was like, it's got to be about the feeling. It's got to be about the feeling. If some way, somehow, I can just trust the feeling, stay in the feeling, make nothing more important than the feeling, um, we'll see what happens. Like, I mean, literally, it was that. It's like, what have I got to lose anyway? Like, we'll just see what happens. And so, but I didn't really quite know what that meant to stay in the feeling. And what I realized is to stay in the feeling was a matter of focus of attention on what matches and feels like that. And it did, so if we if we would have conversations about anything, like if my wife and I spoke about the house, I was sensitive to the feeling. If we were talking in a way that was hopeful and open to it, I it matched. But if we, and this was never, it was not elegant. You should see me. This is like me on training wheels. So, so, but if we would have a conversation and she or anyone, agents or someone would say something like, well, but we need to figure this out because other people are going to be interested in that. And you can feel the pressure, right? Like the sense. So the feeling starts to go off. Man, I shut those down. And again, it wasn't elegant, but I'm like, we're not talking about this. I'm not talking about that. I don't want to know about it. It was like, so not elegant, but I could feel the feeling, and I'm not going to have that conversation, not going to talk about it. I don't want to discuss it. Right. Like, so I was just like, because it's not in the feeling of this. And so it's sort of like the the desire is in this feeling. That's not the feeling. That's like another path. So it was really cool. Later you'd be with the agents, and the agents would start saying things like, wow, if they think they're going to get that kind of money, no way they are. We're going to do a bid under, and they won't. And I'm like, wait a minute, now we're in a fight with the current owners. We're not doing that, right? We're not going to do that. That's not the way we're approaching this. I would have conversations with my wife to say, you know, those owners, I think they renovated that place. Like they had it for 11 years. I don't know how long they owned it. I said, I think they bought the place and renovated it for us. I think they've been working on this place over the last 10 years. They've been planting in the garden. They've been building things around inside every appliance they've selected. I think they put the whole thing together for us. And it was really crazy, but it's like because there was something that showed up where we were literally saying, like, we were looking at other options, like, oh, maybe we'll get this and we'll renovate the kitchen, we'll do that. And we're like, oh my God, how long does that take? Don't you need permits for that stuff? I don't know anything about that. Remember how painful the bathroom reno was? Can you imagine doing that in this? So here we were, this place was just like, oh my God, they just picked everything, the colors, the stuff. So, I only wanted to speak well of the current owners. I did not want to speak about how delusional they were in what they thought the place was worth, and how we were going to prove to them it wasn't worth that much. And like that whole thing did not feel right. So I would like stop those conversations. I wouldn't go into them. Even the way I worked with my financial advisor and all of that. It was a real lesson in just pay attention to the feeling. Just pay attention to the feeling. And a little bit is what really was great is the principles and the understanding of the principles. I knew that it didn't matter whether we got the house or not. I'd be happy in life. Okay, so the principles, I knew that. I didn't know that as a concept. I really knew that. I know you're thinking, oh, you get the house, it's a big thing, but you're gonna get the house and then there will be more things. Or you won't get the house, you'll be like, oh, just down in the dumps, you've lost it all, you'll never be happy again. Bullshit. Doesn't matter. You know very well it doesn't matter. So I literally had no attachment about it. And it was right and it was it. And there was something about committing to it, but not like a clingy thing. I don't know if
Right.
that's clear.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a poignant example because, as we hear that, we might be tempted to try and replicate it. And yet we know that it's not something that we can replicate. The thing that is universal in what I've heard is universal in what you just shared, Dominic, is everyone knows when it's a yes. And it seemed to me like again, somewhat universal. When it's a yes, you're willing to embrace the challenges that might be there, be that your thinking, be that your finances, be that your relationship. On some level, when it's a yes for us, we are willing um to kind of keep paying attention to that. Now we might have to get a little bit I think your example is helpful because it also helps us realize, hey, maybe I can trust my yes a lot more, and maybe I can actually, not go in the direction of conversations that go against my yes. And it seems to me that um, we all have discernment when something is for us and something is not for us. So, it's very hopeful. It's very hopeful that no amount of insecure thinking has to get in the way of what's meant for us, I suppose is another way of
Mhm,
of
mhm.
sharing it. Um, in my own life, as you were talking, and I hadn't thought of this before, Dominic, we have lots of examples about business risks and money and getting on airplanes and all of that, and hoping that there was money when you landed on the other side of the world, and there was. However, I think as you're speaking, one of the things that I'm realizing is, you know, I kind of had that in my latest relationship. There's been a yes about this man, but I have fought with my butt tooth and nail against this situation. From now, a much more surrendered place. The relationship, of course, is lovely. But I'm thinking back to the early days and I'm thinking, wow, the feeling of well-being, the feeling of yes, the feeling of just centeredness. And yet the habit of thought to come in with, but this wasn't really, this isn't meant to be happening this way. And this isn't the sort of person that I would have usually go for. This isn't my type. That's another one, all the reasons that it shouldn't work out. And yet here I am almost 4 years later, still here with this man for the same reason that none of that thinking actually matters or mattered. Because the feeling of yes, the feeling of well-being when the mind was clear was so strong, is so strong. And so I think, it's kind of, yeah, again, it's the realization that we can trust our yes. And it's the innocent habits of thought, that take us away from that. And it's where are we going to tune in? I love the way that you were so clear about, I'm not having that conversation. We're not talking about this. I think that's brilliant because how often are we tempted to, if everyone around us is demonstrating the opposite, how often are we innocently going to drop into the opposite? You know, how
Mm,
how
mm.
so that can sound like commitment. Oh, Dominic was really committed to not talking about that. But see, it seems to me that if we're following our yes, we're just not going to be available for all the BS that comes up to talk us out of stuff. We know the difference between the wisdom speaking and the insecure thinking going hard at work.
Mm.
So anyway, that's just something that
That's
comes to mind.
that's really great. It's like I didn't need to fight off the butts.
Hmm.
That's what the thing was. I thought you have to handle them all, right? But I didn't have to. I only needed a commitment to yes. I only need, and not even, it's only a commitment to the feeling of the yes. I didn't need any dealing with the buts. I didn't have to say get that away from me, like all of that. Resolve it. In my mind, when the buts came, it was an idea. Oh my gosh, how embarrassing. How would I even broach this subject with my financial advisor, he's gonna think I've lost it, right? And so I knew to leave that one alone. Like that was
Mhm.
not the right sort of state, right? But then there came this state where if within a day or two where the feeling was so strong, I composed an email. I go back and I read it and I'm so stunned at its assertiveness, its sureness, and its confidence.
Mhm.
It was like, here's what we're gonna do, and here's what I need you to do. Right? It was unbelievable. I'm like, who is that? Who is that wrote that? And so then from the but part, I was thinking this guy's going to think I'm an idiot. He's going to think we've lost it. But others are responding to your vibration.
Mhm.
And I didn't have any of that thinking. All my thinking was on yes and a commitment to yes and no alternative. It was really interesting. The response back was as surprising as anything, right? And the what that set him off to do, as far as he basically replied back with this 5-step thing. Here's what I'm going to do. I got to analyze this, work that out, figure out this part, calculate these other things. And I'm like, oh my God, he actually is like working this out, right? He's like actually working it out, as opposed to you're an idiot. You really should go look at some other things and like that. So he's responding to an energy, and
Mhm.
I could have had a different energy going in on it. This is where in relationships, it makes a big difference. Because you think you're being stopped by others. You're being stopped by your own thinking about others. You're being stopped by your own thinking about what you think others are thinking and what you think others will let you do and not let you do. And that's all you're thinking. And it's bullshit, all of it. Right? And you think you got to solve it for them. But what I realized is if you think you can somehow twist and manipulate the buts so that they get in line, the problem is you don't grow. If I can just manipulate them so that they change and now become reasonable to me, so then there is no expansion. The expansion is staying where you are and watching how your expansion will change everything, how
Mhm.
your expansion will adjust relationships, how your expansion will shift around all the money. Your vibration will make all that happen. It happens effortlessly. It doesn't happen by you working on it. And so these were a lot of the
Yeah.
hindsight lessons and insights.
Yeah. Great, great, great lessons. Great, great journey. As you said, it was confronting and so enriching to go through all of that. A great example of staying with yes. I think we've got a question or two in the comments. Do you want to just have a quick look?
Yeah, I mean, I'd invite you if you could to come off mute and actually, would that be
Yeah, and
okay?
actually ask a question.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
Jennifer. Thank you so much.
Yeah, hi. Sorry for the background noise, but I'm just really curious to hear the end of the story. So
Yes,
you bought the
I'm
house,
living.
things started to work themselves out, and then it became clear what the things you couldn't see before, you're able to see how it all worked out now? Or
Absolutely. So it came together. There was growth in all of it. Like in other words, seeing financial things I could not see before, seeing a different future than I wasn't seeing, a view of future, which is where I say your soul sort of takes you on something, which is which is, I don't know, I had some sort of future which was like more controlled and predictable and known, but from a small mind.
Makes sense.
This is really important. I don't have a future that's chaotic or mysterious or out of control now. That's not what happened. It's like to say, oh yeah, you need to let go of that and throw yourself out there. That's not what it is. But there's something about expanding what your sureness and confidence is, which was really weird. It was always there. Why can't you see it? It's always there. It's not that big. It's not that complicated. Why can't you see it? Well, you can't see it because you're looking at whatever you're looking at as well. You know, you got to be careful of this and look at this, and you got to make sure things are set up right. And but you don't realize the sort of constraining that that does in the way you're living. And this is why I said, and your soul is just dying to burst through from all that crap and thrive, right? And but it's there and it's on many subjects and they're all a little bit, but none of them are like strong enough to get you to shed them. So your soul says, I know what we'll do. We'll give this guy this thing, which the desire will be so strong. It will be undeniable. That desire will be so strong that the desire to express and to be more of who he really is across all these subjects will be undeniable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It resonates so strongly with me right now because I've been following my yeses more, especially over the last year, and I've had 3 over the last few months of a travel thing where I really wanted to do the thing, but I didn't see it, and I finally went with it, and I was there and didn't know why I was there, and then it became obvious by the time I went home, so I knew why. And it's so funny because coming to Spain for your retreat wasn't even on my radar. I didn't even know it was there, but there's so many things aligning for me. I grew up, or didn't grow up, but my grandfather had a house 20 minutes, built a house 20 minutes away from Albier.
oh
And
wow.
I used to spend my childhood summers there and then married somebody from an island right across from there without knowing about the connection. And then I've been wanting to go back for like 10 years since I got divorced from him. And now Sarah Leather, who is coming,
Yeah.
it has been my business coach for a few years, and I saw, oh, she's doing that. It's like, wow, what's the coincidence of it being there? I really want to go. And then it didn't really make sense, and I'm going back and forth and back and forth. I finally decided to go, and then suddenly it's fixing. Just this is so much your example too. It's solved a problem for my whole summer related to a family thing. It solved another family thing because they're all going to Switzerland right afterwards, and so I can go to that too. And then I found out about your retreat. I'm like, well, it's stupid to be in the same hotel the same week and not join you guys. That would be really dumb, unless I don't like them. So that's why I'm here. I'm like just making sure, like I like you too, because I don't know you at all. But this is just an example of everything is kind of making sense, and the yes is obvious. So, but then, and I'm seeing how this and all sorts of other things are solving something much bigger for me that I have a big question about where my direction is going. And
Yes, yes.
I'm exactly where I really appreciate what you've been saying. I hope it's okay that I'm sharing all this. I
Yes.
appreciate you saying this because there's such a hesitation and not knowing, like, okay, I'm doing all these things, but I do not see how they fit together, and
Yeah.
why am I doing all these things? But something in me is taking me along this path, and I'm just going with it. So
Mm.
I trust that it will make sense in hindsight once I've gone through these things, and that's been my experience now, like several times in a row with big things like this. So
Yeah, you're it's just such a great, it's like you can trust the energy, the feeling, the vibration, not the details. You can't work out the details. The details may or may not make sense. It's hard to understand. Yeah, but what's the retreat gonna give? Like, what's that? But the feeling part, the energy or vibration of it is trustworthy. And I love in your example how your soul, like this is the thing around how they give you a yes, but it's got nothing to do with the thing. Like, so they give you a yes to a retreat. Well, what's that got to do with your family thing, your this thing, the other pieces and all that? But that's the intelligence. Like that's the intelligence of that soul, which is like basically picks around the closest thing, the most matching thing, and says that in that there will be this synchronicity, that one, the other one, the next one. All of these subjects to which you have desire for will all be lifted up in the process of it. And who knows after that? Like, because it goes beyond your imagination. The soul doesn't stop there. It actually sees after and after and after. So who
Yeah.
knows what it leads to?
And
Shall
Jennifer, just love to pick up on something you said. Is that okay?
yeah, please.
I loved your share. I really thought it was really incredible, that you're exploring this and you don't know anything about this retreat or us or anything like that. And um there was something you said that's so good for us to have a bit of distinction here. You see, we said earlier that, the desire is in the feeling, which is good that you're here because you're wanting, when it comes to the feeling of this retreat, the feeling of what we share, you want to be able to notice if you have that calling you versus what I heard earlier. Well, I'm going to be there anyway. Well, it makes sense to just stay on. See, there's a real difference between following your desire for this and using your logic to just do something. I just want to make that distinction because so many times in life we get in trouble with that. Well, it makes sense, and making sense isn't desire, right? Desire is different. Now, we hope you will have the desire to be with us, but you do want to feel, as we're sharing today, you do want to feel the direction,
Well, that's
okay?
why I appreciate very much that you had this live because I wasn't sure yet. I wanted to feel the vibe of being with, with you all here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it was great what you brought up because I think it's such a good example of what we humans do. It's like, we're a little more conditioned to do what makes sense. And what Dominic and I want to point to is forget that. Forget what makes sense. Are you getting the feeling to do something? Is it feeling like a yes? And as Dominic shared earlier, sometimes we're going to have a big resounding yes. I mean, in my own example that many people have already heard 1,000 times, but during our year at Super Coach Academy, there came a point in the program because I wasn't just paying for Super Coach, I was paying for an apprenticeship that year with Michael Neal. So we're looking at $75,000, and then all your travel has to be on top of that in your hotel. And there came to a point during the year where I just went down in terms of everything, clientele, business, confidence, possibility. And I had to be in New York for
One of the weekends.
one of the weekends. Everything in me was a yes. I'm going there. I'm doing this. I don't care what's going on in my circumstances around me. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so it came the day before that I was going to New York. And this isn't something people need to replicate or might want to replicate. But I took a call with a prospect who was interested in working with me. Now, you have no idea how many times in my life examples that when I have a purpose for money, that money's coming in, even if it's coming in at the very last minute, right? A little bit of an 11th hour miracle girl. But here we were the day before, and I was very calm, like Dominic shared earlier, no attachment. We're going ahead with this. We don't know the how, but this is potentially life sending a lead. Okay. So I took the call, and the client agreed she wanted to work with me. And she needed to go away and think about how she could make the finances work for her. So I woke up the next morning, and I just felt in my yes was totally there. I get on that airplane and get to New York because I had the flight booked. But when I was going to arrive on the other side of the world, I didn't know if I was going to actually have the cash for all the rest. But the yes was so telling that I got on the airplane. And when I arrived on the other side, that client had messaged me with the time difference, whatever it was, and said, "Can I have your bank account details?" And I'm making the lodgement now. So where am I going with that?
Hmm.
That's an example, but it's like we um we want to get beyond logic with this stuff, right? Logic is what gets us in trouble here. Logic is what kills the miracle. And it's kind of like we're so good at coming up with what makes sense and what's a good idea. But if we truly follow what's a yes, the provision comes in, the finances have to show up.
Hmm.
The support from family has got to emerge. I loved what you were sharing about that with your financial advisor, Dominic. Um, I've seen that before, it's like everyone's just responding. And if we're wobbling, trust,
They
trust
wobble.
us,
Yeah.
they're going to wobble even more because they don't have the grounding that you have. So they're going to be worried, even more worried if they sense you're worried. And yet, a lot of the time, we're just worried. How's it going to affect them? How's it going to affect them if I do a U-turn and instead of going to that event, I decide to go to this event,
Hmm.
right? When in the end, you have no idea why you're supposed to be at the event that you're having a yes for, even if you've committed to something else, even if you've already put money down for something else. You know, I got a real wake up call in 2014, 2015, where I was doing very well in my business, and my mentor invited me to go to a next level with her. There was going to be a lot of money on the line, but she was confident she was going to take me into a seven-figure business. And I was kind of like, yeah, but it wasn't a real yes. It was a kind of more of a people pleasing yes, and a kind of, I had so much turmoil. But here's the good news. I woke up the morning I was meant to sign on the dotted line, make my commitment fully, and everything in me was a no. And I had to follow that. And boy, am I glad I followed that because I watched what unfolded. And so, like, we can be in so much thinking, but the guidance is going to come through. The clarity is going to come through. And we can be at the 11th hour and we may have made a commitment to something, and the money can still come through. And the U-turn is still possibly going to come through. Like, we have to just be open. We're being lived, and we all innocently forget that. I know I do. So,
That's great, Grace.
yeah.
For additional context for everyone. So Grace and I would not be doing this work had she not stepped on that airplane.
Oh, that's right.
We
Hmm.
would not.
That's right.
Grace and I were in Super Coach, but we'd already done one or two weekends we'd already done.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
across the room, I'm over here. She's a participant, I'm over here. There were a lot of participants. Okay?
Yeah.
But New York was different. So New York was different because Grace and I, some reason in New York connected. We had some deli. We went on a few
Mhm.
lunch things. And then, like, if it wasn't for New York,
Mhm.
you would have been another. I have to look them up who were the other participants, right? Like,
Mhm.
you would be one of the other ones that was in the room if it wasn't for New York. So so again, you kind of wonder, and this is the example of like your soul's got plans you don't know about. Like, so
That's
how many
right.
years ago? That's like 11 years ago, right? Had you not stepped on the airplane. And so it's kind of like, and here we are, and for a number of years now, where we've been doing these different programs and things, but you could not have known that, and you could not have I had no idea. Again,
Yeah.
whatever. We had a nice lunch, or we had some nice chats, but so what? Right? Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
but someone knew something, like something was moving in a particular direction, and yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it was, yeah. So, I mean, someone's writing here, how does a full-on yes feel like? Natalia's writing that in. And again,
Mm.
I think that was where I was going before I got sidetracked there a second. So just let me speak to that, and I'm sure Dominic can speak to this too. Um, not all of not it's not always a full-on yes. So please do hear that. Like in the case of Dominic's house, that was a sounded like a full-on yes. In the case of me getting on the airplane and getting on the other side of the world, no matter what, that was a full-on yes. A lot of times in life, it's not full on. It's not this big resounding call from God. It's as simple as you open a menu in a restaurant and you look through it and something is more of a yes than the other thing. You open the fridge at lunchtime and something is more of a yes for you than the other, right? Like you don't want to make this committing to your yes thing something to get in your head about. Oh, not now, is that a yes? Now, if I think about Grace and Dominic's example, I don't think this is a yes that I want to have an omelette or that I want to get this Gucci bag. Like it doesn't sound as clear as the way they said it. We're giving you examples where we have been confronted to follow our yes. But on a daily basis, we're not being confronted to follow our yes. We're being invited. And how do we recognize it? Just feels right. Just feels like, good, tasty, delicious. Yes, please. Oh, I think I'll do that instead of doing that. I think I'll turn left to go to avoid the traffic instead of going right where I can see a queue. It's that natural, you see. So let's
Mm.
not make this something we're going to get heady about.
Yeah. If you there is a momentum to energy. So if you're gonna go out for coffee instead of staying in, and here's the thing, because it just is just a slightly greater impulse than the other. That's all, right?
Mm,
If you're gonna do that, you just moved into a more easing energy. You just said yes to an energy of calling, right? Well, if you're going to do that, that energy has momentum to it, right? And then you're standing in line and you're overhearing the conversation in front of you and you want to say something, but really you shouldn't. But you feel like saying something, but really you shouldn't. So, but it's just so you do say something. And next thing you know, you're sitting down with that person and now you're sitting down with that person and they're talking about this thing and that thing and then this, oh, and you do this? Really? I can't believe the coincidence here. Is that what you do? Because here's what, right? And all of a sudden you're going, my God, is that what that was? What is this what this was all about? So but it didn't come across like this. Yes, I got to
mm,
commit to this. Yes. It didn't come across like anything. It was just a more easing energy. So you're yes to that, yes to that. Keep leaning in that direction. Watch what happens. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah.
Mm.
And just one more, which I think we'd love to speak to before we close, any thoughts on discerning between ego desire and spirit-led desire? Do you go with the feeling of these being different? Well, for me personally, and oh, that's Jennifer. Yeah, Jennifer, for me personally, desire, and this is a bit of a logic, but it helps me. Um, Desire can only ever come from God, from divine, from source energy. If you even look at the root word of desire, it comes from the Latin desidere, which means from the Father. Now, we don't need to get caught up on religious things as such, right? But just to say, like, that has helped me when I have questioned my desires. That has helped me to realize that it is the divine's way of expressing through us that we would feel desire. So for me, there isn't really ego desire, except if I'm getting into judgment, right? There's just the feeling of desire to express the divine, and sometimes that the divine wants a Prada handbag that costs £4,500 or whatever, and my ego will say, but that you really don't need to spend that, Grace. And you already have those. You don't need another one. So I could feel the desire for the beauty of that bag, for the craftsmanship of that bag, for the experience of walking around with that bag. And I can definitely judge myself as that's very egotistical. You just want that logo, just want that name, Grace. However, what I've come to learn personally with my desires is that's a unique expression for me of the Father, the divine guiding me towards my highest expression. And it's not always in the form of something luxurious, but it's only my ego that would judge it as an ego desire, if that makes sense.
Mm. That, by the way, Jennifer, I think most people are familiar with in Living Miraculously when we speak of true desire.
Mm.
And so it is distinguished from what you think you want. So we distinguish it in that way. Yeah, what I think I want is this. But what happens is if you keep going on the what I think I want, it's like, oh, that's interesting. Why is it you want? Well, because if I had that, then I could do this. And if I had that, then I could do this. But a true desire has no in order to. It's like not in order to do anything. It is a pure self-expression. There's no point to this handbag. No matter, see, that would be logic, right? Logic is, well, Grace, but what are you going to do with it? And where does it lead to? And there's, yeah, go ahead.
So what if I really want that second piece of cake? And it's really, I know logically that is not good for my system, and I'm going to feel gross tomorrow morning. But now I
Yeah,
really want it.
yeah.
So where's that fit?
What a great example of my finite mind, smaller mind, right? Knows what to eat and not eat, right? Would know what to eat and not eat. I read it somewhere. I've been studying it, or I watched a channel about it or something, right? The consciousness or infinite intelligence in every cell of my body, I can't trust that. So when the so when the impulse comes in this moment for a piece of chocolate cake, if it's pure desire, if it is an aligned desire. I can't trust that. I can't trust what that infinite conscious energy knows that's wanted or needed right now. But this is where the feeling is important. Is the feeling one of desire, or is the feeling one of you feel so bad you want to eat something sweet so you can get over the pain of this stuff that you were thinking about? Do you see the distinction? What is calling you toward that cake? Is that true desire, or is that distraction, or is that addiction, or is that habit? Is
It
that
could be just chemical addiction, so it's a physical craving that feels a certain way, like I need that cake, or someone
right?
who's addicted to drugs will also have the strong physical feeling desire. So
Right,
anyway, it
right.
sounds like you have a whole way of thinking about this that I
Yeah.
just don't know about yet, so I don't want to.
Yeah, in Living Miraculously, this is like it's actually a core beginning statement, or it's our first session is true desire, because to your point, you can go off and oh, I want this and I want that and I want that, but that's not what we mean. Is we mean like, and everything you truly desire is along that path, and it's beyond what you think you want. It's like beyond what you think you want. It's what you truly desire. Yeah. Hmm.
Well, it looks like we're at time, certainly. Sheila, did you want to say a couple of words for closing?
I just want to say thank you. Yeah, this has been fabulous and nice to meet you, Jennifer. And Sarah had told me about you, and I didn't realize it was you. And I live in Albert, so it'd be great to have a chat with you about where you grew up or where you holiday 20 minutes from here. I'm curious.
My Swiss grandfather, built a house in Calpe,
Oh, in Calpin.
and
Okay. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
still there, so I have to go see it.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah. Wonderful. And I love that those synchronicities. Oh, I like that. Yes, thank you. I am going to post, just in case you haven't got the link, for Living Miraculously retreat in May. We'll be there the 15th to the 17th, or you'll be here, and I'll be here anyway because I live in. So this is Grace and Dominic's third time in Albert, and if well, it's Dominic's actually fourth time.
Fourth time, yes.
Grace's third time. And if the past ones are anything to go on, they're going to be fabulous. So if the yes is there, we'd love to have you. Yeah, that's all I've got to say, really.
Can you post a link, Sheila, in the
I just
comments?
dare not do it. I thought I had done it. Okay, there it is.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
thank you.
Press
Yeah.
enter. There it is.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice to reread just what's available, and just see where you sit with it as you reread the page in the coming days. But again, as Sheila said, if it speaks to you, we'd love to see you there. We're already a beautiful group emerging, and yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you so much for your presence and your questions today, everybody, and your comments here were brilliant.
Mhm.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Yes,
take
wonderful.
care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Lots of love. Lots
Thank
of love,
you.
everybody. Bye bye.
There.